All right, click the links to join the channel here or on Subscribestar. Thanks for the recent members. So, Disney, Bob Chapek says basically the interpretation of all this is that we're globalists, deal with it, and that's about it. So people are finally kind of starting to awaken to all this stuff that is going on around us. This, I don't know, new world order type of thing, and people are wondering about this new Marxist direction that Disney is taking, and all the other companies as well, because the audience doesn't seem to be on board with the decisions that they're making at Amazon Prime, Disney, Cartoon Network, Netflix, all the other sort of, they're making a bunch of weird decisions, which is obvious, but it's not just, it's Hollywood in general. It's not just the streaming services. They're repeatedly making movies that either underperform or bomb, and they're all these like going in this woke direction. You look at them, you're like, wait, aren't you guys just a business? Why are you trying to sell people what they clearly don't want? It's like that should raise the hairs on the back of your neck that these billion-dollar NGOs are essentially engaging in this globalist social engineering. They're not corporations. They're not companies. They're doing something else. They're willing to lose money to push a narrative. By now, you should be aware that Hollywood is a propaganda machine. It's not a set of companies simply selling entertainment. I hear normies on the left and the right who repeat that. They go, oh, that's just all about the money for them. And then you can list like a dozen movies and go like, so why'd they make these movies that are all woke and all underperforming or bombing? I mean, if it's all about the dollar, that kind of blows your argument out right there. Like, are they repeatedly making bad decisions? Like, why wouldn't, if the companies are all about the money, you just give people what sells? And you gotta like look at, there's people on the left and the right who say that, and like you look at me, you're like, so you're saying like the companies are stupid? They're making $1 billion mistakes, $100 million mistakes by selling people what they don't like. Like people, what do they want? Traditional family values, and yeah, tribalism essentially, and classical stories are what sells. And what do you get? You get this subverse corruption of stuff like that Panda movie. You go, oh, that lost $170 million, and you look at a bunch of other movies that lost $100 million or something like that, and you go like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. They're trying to sell. They're willing to lose money to do this. I mean, shouldn't that should wake you up? Because to think otherwise is to look at these companies and think, oh my God, they must be managed by idiots. Yeah, except they're billion-dollar companies. So how did they just get taken over by idiots like in the past 20 years? I mean, none of that makes sense. The Occam's razor is that they're making these decisions intentionally. They're willing to lose money to push this stuff. So yeah, you can like look at Hollywood as a propaganda machine, as so many times in history you've seen examples of that. They have an agenda, and it's evil. They want your kids fat, stupid, and if they are the fair people of the light, they definitely do not want them making more little fair people of the light. They want you gone. I don't know if that's too much for YouTube, but I mean, it's kind of hard how to couch these phrases in what they're doing. It's like there's very much an agenda. It's to remove one group of people and substitute another. Is like every time you turn on the screen, you see examples of that. So that's basically a battle between good and evil, kind of on Earth with human proxies. Yeah, it sounds a little crazy, but I'm going to stick to it. They're not trying to mind warp you. They have access to your kids. It doesn't matter if you don't have Hollywood propaganda in your home. You don't have any of those streaming networks or any of that kind of streaming. It's like you say call it TV, but it's tablet or computer. If you don't have any of that kind of stuff, or if you have serious parental locks on the internet kind of thing, it doesn't matter because the same filth is pushed in schools. It's the same playbook. If the other kids are brainwashed by this stuff, they will spread the degeneracy. You know how strong peer groups are, and there's no solving this at a local level. You need to solve this at a neighborhood level, at a region level, at a state level. Like there's the easy solution was 50 years ago. The only solutions left are much more challenging, more serious ones about like actual larger scale things. So Disney knows this, and this can't be a local battle. It's got to be you've got to have enough of a critical mass to form like your own peer group that's free of degeneracy, like a whole removal from society or separation at a regional level from this kind of propaganda. That's how serious it is, because we are where we are now. You know, it sounds crazy, but I mean, look at where we are now with all the stuff that is available online. It's like the concept of voting left or right. You always hear both sides say, "This is the most important election ever. We got to vote left or right." And you know, there's a lot of us who sit back and on the left and the right go, like, "Yeah, it's just wings of the same bird. Like, you're not going to solve this by voting R or D. It's selected, not elected. Oh, I'm going to vote for open opposition or controlled opposition." At this point, it doesn't matter. You can vote for the opposition and just go, you know what, accelerate it to destruction. So voting left or right, it doesn't matter, because it all got us here. And it's, you know, whether it's politics or pop culture, you know, they're all downstream from each other. There is this problem with the whole system. The idea that Disney is able to push filth to kids is insane, but that's the reality. Unless the system itself is dismantled to literally set up states that are free of all this kind of stuff, to go back to a 50 state model and just not be slaves to a centralized authority in the Fed, to have an entire state like free of Disney or Netflix or Prawn or whatever else you want, to set it up the way. I mean, the concept of the country was founded on states' rights, and then slowly expanding federal power got us to where we are now, where we're just like, you know, the sooner you address a problem, the easier it is. And like the easy solutions were 50 years ago, and the stuff that we have to do now to fix this is a little bit more complicated. But it is possible if you're, I mean, like, eventually I mean, how much of this can you take before you go, oh, this has got to be corrected. This is just too sick. The stuff that they're pushing now is just, eventually you hit a tipping point. You go, oh yes, what we have to, by any means necessary, you have to fix this kind of stuff. So kids, you got to limit kids in their exposure to this kind of stuff, and you're not going to do it at a household level. It's much easier to do it at a neighborhood level, where you have your own school, you have your own neighborhood. It's like, oh yeah, this neighborhood doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. It doesn't, like, the internet is very tightly regulated to keep the kids away from this stuff. Like, yeah, obviously they get stuff anyway, but like it's just as regulated. It's to limit their exposure as much as possible. You go, like, yeah, they go to their micro neighborhood school, and you know, so we've got our own intranet, just like North Korea. You know, you look at the filth and just the evil degeneracy that's on. Hey, look at Blue's Clues and Cartoon Network. There's a beaver that removed her mammary glands. Well, why would you do that? And why would you put that idea in children's heads? So then that children would say, oh, if I do this, I'll get attention. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot more to this, but, you know, to stay within the Google algorithm, to get those $2 a day to help support the Odyssey and Bit Chute channel, which is like what it's all about. There's a lot going on here. Or Subscribestar. Thanks for the recent support on Subscribestar. I noticed the numbers didn't increase, but the donations increased, so people increased the levels, which is like, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's just good enough to support even at the $2 level. It's fine. I don't want to like be one of those like internet people just always milking. You gotta have like kids. You've got to be kids. Like, if there's hills to die on, that I think that's definitely. God, there's so much more to say, but to not say it on YouTube is just a real challenge. Kids have to be raised by their families, if they're religion, you know, Christian, whatever, or you know, Euro pagan. Those are the kind of popular things for this circle. The family, the tribe, the extended family, the religion, reverence for the ancestors, everything that has continuity has got to be venerated. And the opposite side of that is the globalists want everyone cut off from their roots. They want as much chaos as possible. It's the communist found family concept, because it just disrupts the family as much as possible. Families need to raise their kids. Kids don't need to be raised by Disney and the religion of Bolshevism. I think that was careful enough. We'll see. You know, every day on YouTube is, you know, always kind of waiting for that email like, you've been invited to leave YouTube. Go F yourself. Like, okay. Anyway, so like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.